I feel excited about this process, this concept, and this idea because isn't this all just an idea? And isn't this an opportunity for you to say, you know what? If this is an idea that worked for millions of millionaires out there who started with nothing and have become something, wouldn't you want to also subscribe to that methodology, to that idea? Today, we're talking about the process of imagination. And Napoleon Hill describes imagination as the workshop of the mind. Our mind has so much incredible capacities and incapacities, meaning there are limits and there are no limits. Most of the limits are set by ourselves. But the unlimited list is when we are really feeling non-restricted, available to achieve anything that we really dream of or that we want to accomplish. We allow the walls of restrictions and the borders and the weight and the chains of limits to get in our way. But as children and as kids and as young minds, we didn't let any of that get in our way until influenced by adulthood or the other concepts that gave us reality. But the best place to really live is inside the mind. And that's why it's called Think and Grow Rich. Not grow rich, not get rich quick, not rich. It is think and grow rich because it is your mind that is the workshop of creation. And that's really who we are. We are creators. The first point I put down that I wanted to share with you is actually a dig, but it's a joke. So don't take this too personal. But my first point is this: you're boring. And I wanted to say it that way because it's such a relevant concept. But I read a sign once at my college, my university. I was just about one semester left from graduating. And it was actually on somebody's keychain. It was a slogan. And I called it a sign, but it was a sign from the heavens that I was boring because I was letting things happen the way they were supposed to happen, the way that they cattled me into the herd as a future graduate who was going to go down the path of getting a career and doing all of the things that I was supposed to do. But that's what boring people do. What real, imaginative, exciting, accelerated, incredibly talented, limitless people do is they stray from the herd. They walk the road less traveled. And they do so because they don't know any better. And fear is a great way to stay with the herd because fear keeps you close to others. Whereas limitless and fearlessness allows you to venture off and find your own path because we all at some point need to find our own path. And if that path leads us back to the herd, our role in that particular culture or society is definitely what we need to focus on so that we can not be boring. But I say you're boring because the sign on the lanyard said the phrase, do something incredible today. And then on the back side of that lanyard, yes, this was in someone's pocket, and I grabbed it and I read it and I gave it back to him. No, I am not a pickpocketer, but it felt that way because it was so sneaky. But it said, "Do something incredible today. Stop being boring," is what the back of it said. And I thought about that, and I was like, am I boring? And what I'm doing boring? Am I really going down this path of imagination where I'm allowing myself to implement and to do what it is that I really want to do? And I took that thought with me everywhere. Don't be boring. So I developed this idea, and it was kind of off of a social media post where somebody said that keep them guessing always. And it was just this idea that there's always someone watching. And if you believe in God, there is always someone watching, but not in the creepy way, it's in the positive way. But if there was a particular surveillance over us at all times, and that idea and that concept were to become reality, my concept or my motto would be always keep them guessing. That means going through a door backwards while chanting the American anthems, or doing something silly or fun, or always making people smile in different ways. Like, keep them guessing, but keep yourself guessing, because your imagination is the core creator. It is the workshop of the mind and your attitude and your behavior, but also the way you feel and the way you operate on a daily basis. So, yeah, boring, stop being boring, do something incredible every single day. That's just a reminder to myself. And that's what I would say to you if you were really boring, but you're not. There you go, backtracking. But you're not. You are an incredible creator. You are a being with higher purpose and power. I shared vulnerably a story the other day about a concept that I created while speaking to a group of youth. And I shared with them how I was labeled with ADHD. And I actually, to be purely honest, don't have an official diagnosis from doctors. But based on all the checklists and all the online surveys, I have exactly what it describes. And the reason why is I don't need a diagnosis. I don't need any of that, but I have always known that my brain operates in a different way than normal. But as a kid with ADHD, or operating on the high functioning powers of ADHD, I learned the definition of what ADHD, that acronym, stands for. And it stands for attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And I thought to myself, oh, because someone said it, you are ADHD or you have ADHD. And those two phrases, let's identify them. You are ADHD. So you're saying that I am an attention deficit hyperactive disorder? I believe that I was created by a God, and I don't think God would ever create one of his greatest creations as a deficit or a disorder. Let's go to the other phrase. I have ADHD. I don't know if a God, the God I believe in, would give me a deficit or a disorder in his eyes. I think he would have given me a power. In many ways, we call it a superpower. And he would have given me a tool to use to better reach and influence and help others. That's what I believe. And you can choose to believe what you want to believe. But I decided on one day, and I never looked back, that I am not a deficit or a disorder. And I believe that because that's where my mind goes. That's where my imagination takes me. So, in order to not be boring, in order to be incredible and to do incredible things on a daily basis, I also have to believe that I am not what the world has labeled me as. And instead, I believe that it is a powerful tool in order to create and to help and to serve. I got to tell you that this has totally enabled me to create things without knowing, because I did not know the repercussions of what failure might be if I didn't succeed. And that is a story about Bob. And Bob stands for Battle of the Bands. You see, I was in an organization and they were looking to raise money, but they also had a very tight budget. And they were actually in the hole by thousands of dollars. And they were brainstorming ideas on how to overcome the deficit and to get back into the green, they call it. The green is when you're in positive net worth or have a positive cash flow. And without really wondering, like, what are the parameters? What are the boundaries? What are the yeses? What are the nos? I just threw out an idea and I said, you know what? Let's bob it. And they're like, what's bob it? And I said, Bob, Battle of the Bands. Duh. Everyone knows that a Battle of the Bands is something that people love to attend. It generates income. People want entertainment. They want to be able to listen to live music. They want to dance. They want to buy concessions. They want to get t-shirts. They want to have fun. Let's do a Battle of the Bands. And they all thought I was crazy. And I said, look, it could work or it couldn't. It's up to you to decide. But I believe it'll work. So if you let me do this, I'll keep the budget really low. I'll use all of our natural innate resources and watch how much money we can make. So they said, you know what, it's a risk. We'll let you go down this rabbit hole, Jon, but we're going to also plan on a few other applicable processes that we've done in the past that should work. And I said, great, you do you, I'll do me. And they really had no faith in me, but they were willing enough to give me the option of doing it, planning it, and creating it. Well, that's exactly what I did. I put posters all over. I said, Battle of the Bands on this date at this time. And I told everyone I knew. I went out and I started talking about it. And all of a sudden, I used the phrase, what about Bob? Or who is Bob? Or what is Bob? And I started creating questions in everyone's minds. And so people felt smart when they knew what Bob was. But when people were who didn't know what Bob were, they would ask around and other people would say, oh, Bob, Battle of the Bands. And all of a sudden it became a thing. So now this creation of Bob became something that just started stirring around the population. And it came to the day of the Battle of the Bands. And I was reporting to my supervisors, letting them know that, hey, everything's set. We got a DJ equipment set up. We used very minimal budget. Concessions is there. I grabbed like 20 volunteers to help us run the event in case it's overflowing. And they just looked at me like, oh yeah, we forgot that you were going to do this idea. And they almost looked puzzled like, wow, it's the day of the event and we forgot that you were totally doing this. And I said, well, thanks for the vote of confidence, but we're going to do it anyways. I took a huge gulp and said, now I'm feeling the fear. If they don't even remember that I was doing that, does anyone remember? And I started questioning my own thoughts. I started questioning my own actions. But under reflection, I remembered that, you know what? I never thought that we wouldn't succeed. I always imagined that we could succeed because, again, I'm not a deficit or a disorder, but I have a power and it's a tool, and that these skill sets that I've gained are ways to help people grow and to make a difference. Well, it was 5 minutes before the show was to start, and we had no one inside. And I remembered, oh yeah, we told everyone to line up outside the doors, and we'll take people in as soon as the doors open. Why don't we just take a peek outside and see if we're ready to start admitting people? And in my heart, I said a tiny little prayer because I was like, I sure hope there's people out there. And second, I realized that, you know what, no matter what happens when I open these doors, I did what I knew I could do. And if 10 people show up, we'll give them the best show of their life. If 100 people show up, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we opened the doors, and imagine, because we're talking about imagination here, imagine two doors opening up and the sunlight's beaming through, and you can't see anything but light until you see the silhouettes of human beings. And not only were there silhouettes of human beings as we opened up these doors, I heard the heavens sing as we opened them up, and I realized there were a lot more humans than I thought we had capacity. It was a line out the door, down the parking lot. It was so long that we needed to start admitting people now. And we actually needed to call in an extra security guard last minute to help bounce this entire event, because we had over 500 people show up for this event at $10 a piece, plus concessions, plus tips, plus all of the things that went into this. We netted over $10,000 in this event, got ourselves out of the deficit we were in as an organization, and we had a great time doing it. Battle of the Bands was a hit. And to this day, at that organization, Bob is an annual tradition. And I walked away from the organization for years, and I came back and asked if they were still doing Bob, and they said, oh yeah, Bob is a staple. And to those people who were naysayers who thought, you know what, Jon, run with it, do your thing, but we're going to work on a more practical sense, they were the ones who were stuck in their non-imaginative, boring attitudes. And I got to remind you that it is all about dreaming. It is all about your imagination. One quick reminder and last minute story here as I wrap up. And I want to tell you that I've used this same concept, which is I never believed it would fail. I never thought of it as an option. I never allowed that fear or that particular idea to creep in. Everything I've ever built was built on the idea that it will succeed. And that has become my motivation. That has become my imagination. And it has been the workshop of success in everything I've done, from becoming a collegiate athlete to becoming a number one best-selling author to becoming a world-class international speaker. All of those things were because I just believed that I would succeed. Not because I knew the parameters, I knew the uphill battle, not because I knew all the things that entailed and went into the career choice of mine, but I went into it believing, you know what? Because I want to do it, I will succeed. And this is what I did with one of my businesses that led to Champion Circle today. And I call this my $20 million success story, which is we started designing how people could network and how they could discover relationships at accelerated rates and build connections and share business without feeling salesy, pushy, or just there to network and collect a bunch of business cards so that they could prospect you. Instead, we built valuable relationships through conversation, through activity, through recreational fun, and a few other concepts that were intermingled into the idea of education, learning, and application. And after 9 months of practicing and honing in on this skill set, my belief was that we would create value for people. And I never thought it wouldn't succeed. My imagination took me to places where I said, this is exactly what I want to do. And because of it, I found that I could do anything. And after following up with and learning from the participants in this particular networking association and this mastermind group, I discovered roughly that the amount of money transacted in 9 months between these people, because of the activities that we were doing on a weekly and monthly basis, led to over $20 million transacted. And that became a huge motivator and success story for me. And you know what? That $20 million wasn't even in my pocket. It was between the members of those exchanging business, helping each other out, building relationships, offering their services, and creating value amongst their own community. We had created a micro $20 million value revenue system for businesses and industries. And order to just grow and be in the room because of that value that was imagined and created. So whether it's a project like Bob, whether it's building a $20 million business or more, or it's as simple as closing your eyes, laying your head on a pillow at night, and letting your dreams, your imagination become your reality. Allow your mind to believe what you want to believe. Set zero limitations on yourself. Create, create, create as the true creator that you are. Your life, your business is a matter of value. And because you were so talented and so gifted, you are not boring. And every day you have the opportunity to do incredible things. My name is Jon Kovach Jr., and I believe this, and I empower you to take this challenge and to take this invitation to do incredible things and to join a circle or a group of champions who will continue to push you in the direction and also invite you and create a culture and community where the environment is set up for your personal success. That, for me, is what it's all about. I'm grateful for imagination and how it's been the workshop of my dreams. And I believe that Napoleon Hill was right when he said it best, that it is the workshop of the mind and you can make things happen. And I might sound like a broken record when I say this, but I say this every month when we do these trainings. The fastest way to accelerated growth is to write it down. Your thoughts, your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, your inspirations, your random whatnots that just come into your mind, write them down. The transformation from thought to writing only leads to greater, better things. And if you put it away for years and come back to it, it'll still inspire you because it was an inspiration that came in a moment of when you used your mind. So let's think and grow rich together. Thank you.